Look at the picture. See the skull. Visible Frankenstein controls. The Brain Thoughts broadcasting radio. The Frankenstein earphone radio. The latest new skull reforming to contain all Frankenstein controls.
Welcome, everyone, to Frankenstein Control, enabling your procrastination for almost 200 episodes now.
Oh, God.
Obviously, discovering and discussing amusing distractions to help our listeners cope with the ever-worsening, inescapable hell world glaring out at us from our own phones 24 hours a day is a big reason why we do this show. Helps us cope with hell world to make it, after all. I do have to admit, though, seeing the absolutely baller new trailer for The Matrix Resurrections over the weekend. Have you guys seen that yet?
I haven't. I just remember us when Dr. Octopus shows up and he goes, "Hey, man."
Sure. Sure, because that happens.
Spider Matrix Reloaded.
It looks really cool. More on that in a bit, I guess. But anyhow, thinking about The Matrix made me reconsider the degree to which all of our suffering feels deliberate and targeted at this point. My new working theory is that we are all actually trapped in a simulation, but our would-be overlords, whomever they might be, got Activision Blizzard to do the world building.
No.
Let's see if it's too late to tack that onto the lawsuit.
I'm suing Activision Blizzard for designing the simulation, and I don't like it.
I want to leave. Who are we, Taylor?
We are the Crystal Gems. I am your host, a Pearl. In front of me is Garnet.
I'm actually a Pearl as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've just been shape-shifting a little like a Garnet for a while to rise above my lowly Pearl status. But
I've been lied to.
You've outed me. Everyone knows I'm a Pearl now.
Uh-oh.
Way to go, Taylor. Spoiler alert.
And to the left of me, as always, is some sort of rhodonite.
I'm actually selenite, which is I only know what that is because it's a crystal used in that healing crystal stuff. Because I want to talk about mystical bullshit later.
I love mystical bullshit.
It's fun.
Your healing crystals.
Yes, I'm selenite, I suppose.
Well, if I'm being real, I think we're all Fordite. Which actually isn't that bad a thing to be.
Pretty cool.
Fordite's pretty cool looking. It's just how it's made is like, what?
I like to imagine I'm uranium.
Is Fordite like the
Oh, because you're wearing green.
No, because I'll kill you.
Oh.
She emits deadly rays that have been sterilizing and slowly killing us all and altering our DNA beyond repair.
Yes.
I emit deadly rays too, but they're like tiny microscopic Ray Charleses that fly out of me.
If you send a bunch of Ray Liotta clones to murder people and spout mafia one-liners, would those be deadly rays?
Yes, those are the gamma rays I've heard so much about.
To answer your question, though, Fordite is not a rock at all. It's paint. It's like chips off of the walls of like a Ford plants where they painted cars.
Oh.
And as they like change the colors that they're using, it like layers. And it looks like this really nice polished color line kind of rock. It's just a chunk of paint.
But it looks really fucking cool. It's like the original acrylic pour before Instagram happened and everybody did it.
Yeah.
Including me. Actually, I haven't done an acrylic pour, but let's face it. That's in my future. It's inevitable.
You're going to be pouring something.
I'm pouring something. I poured something today.
Yeah.
I poured a bunch of resin into a vat. And
You got that pour treatment.
I think it made me feel funny, if I'm being real. I didn't wear a mask like an idiot today. I'm like, it'll be quick. And then it wasn't quick. I'm like, oh, this smells kind of funny.
It smells like brain cells dying.
Well, then again, I think it's maybe just because I'm tired. Because that stuff isn't supposed to make you like lightheaded or anything. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a skin and lung and eye irritant if you're overexposed to it. So like, it doesn't rot holes in your brain. But
unfortunately,
but it can't be that good for your brain either. I don't know. I'm gonna die soon. But anyway, be right. You were gonna talk about mysticism.
that just seems like something Mo Sislak would say. Like, I've been using this paint. My eyes, lungs, and my eyes and lungs are really irritated. Oh, it's like that explains it, and it just says like eye and lung irritant on the bottle in giant letters.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains it.
No, so I've mentioned here and there that I have several ongoing family health situations that have caused me quite a bit of stress lately, on top of the previously mentioned hell world, and just this last week, our hot water heater burst some part it needed to function properly. So, how have I been staving off a breakdown myself, you ask? I haven't.
Oh.
But also, I've been getting into some meditation shit.
Okay.
I actually have to credit Midnight Gospel for leading me to discover the fellow I'm going to talk about tonight. Because
See the guy that practices magic?
that guy was really fucking cool. That episode was awesome.
That episode was weird because, like, I still didn't quite understand what the fuck he meant by magic, even by the end of the episode.
It's
I'm like, so what's magic, though?
Yeah.
It's like a form of meditative technique.
Oh,
And,
why do you call it magic?
Yeah, why do you
gathering?
call it magic? That's not what magic is.
I think it's one of those things where it's like equating, you know how like witches exist, but it's not literally actually witches.
Yeah.
It's like this is a thing that you can do that actually like it's through like a complex combination of physiological responses in your brain and, you know, respiratory system and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it has the combined effect of it's basically like what am I trying to say here? I'm getting weird. This is high concept galaxy brain shit, Ada, and you just
Okay.
wouldn't get it.
Yes, I do have a tiny little soy brain, so we'll just have to go with that.
It was not the magic guy, although that guy is that episode was really interesting. No, they do talk about the guy that I am going to talk about. The guy I'm going to talk about, his name is Ram Dass.
Oh, yeah.
And they mention him several times on Midnight Gospel.
Yeah, several times.
Ram Dass sounds like a computer program.
It does.
Just because DOS.
Das
Is
and
the thing.
and
And Ram is like
yeah.
Ram.
Yeah.
Also sounds like rammed ass. we're not here to be
That's a
mean
good
to-
porn name.
We were all thinking about it.
Ram Dass.
Oh, my God.
Ram Dass.
Shout out to Ram Dass. We know
We-
you got a good sense of humor, I'm sure.
He did. He actually died right before COVID.
Oh, my God.
He died at
Lucky.
He was patient zero, the motherfucker.
No, he died at the age of 88, December 2019.
Wow.
So literally right before all this shit kicked off.
Yeah.
He got out at a good time, I gotta say.
Yeah.
He really did.
Where there was still hope for humanity. We were at 2020. Things seemed like, you know what? Things seem
Things
bad
are
right now.
looking up.
But 2020, wow! Like
Yeah.
it's the 20th year of a new millennium. Haha! It's gonna be new year, new millennium, new me. Wow! Shit happened.
Before we
Millennium.
Millennium happened.
before we leave behind the crass jokes, though, I do want to put a reminder for myself in here to text Ada to send Ada a picture so that she can put it on the screen during this part of the episode of these cookies we got at the Japanese store. Mm-hmm. They are French cookies. They're actually really good. They're like those sort of Milano cookies that have like the wafers with the chocolate in between them.
Yeah.
But
I
they're
love those.
they're called Coke. It's like spelled C-O... Like
COQ?
Q-U-E. Coke.
X735 Roman numeral for dick.
No.
Like all of those because
And
the
it's pronounced throat mangler
French got all
Walbro.
them extra letters they don't need. They just throw them in there.
Yeah.
Along with all
That's
the...
why I always wanted to learn French, but the written language just completely fucking stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah, that's
Because,
hard.
like, it's not fucking words. Those ain't, like, what you have on the paper
Yeah.
ain't what you're saying. How am I supposed to fucking learn this?
English has silent letters. French has silent words.
This is some
Like
kind of
how-
baguette hieroglyphics.
Oh my god,
The word-
French
the word hors
is
d'oeuvre has like Haas D in front of it.
Yeah.
Like, why are you just not saying the first 5 fucking letters
French.
of this word?
French is the written French is the jazz of language. It's about the words you ain't saying. It's about the letters you aren't saying.
These cookies, though, are called Coke d'asses. It's literally spelled D''asses. And if my mother, who was a French major and had a linguistics degree, could hear me say that and butcher the French, she would smack me, but she can't.
I did really mean it though. I want to learn French because it's a ballin' language to listen to.
It is a
It's a cool ass language. I've been to France. It was a nice place.
And goth girls love it.
I'm not one of those freedom fry slinging American assholes. Oh, the French surrender and shit. No, I'm just annoyed by their written language. That's it. That's where it stops.
I've been led to believe that the only phrase you would ever need should you ever want to travel all around France is omelette du fromage.
That is true. That
Yeah.
got me quite quite far, really. Anytime a fucking police officer came over wondering what I was doing, masturbating in an alley, I went, omelette du fromage.
Masturbating in an alley is the French national pastime.
Well, the police officer stopped him because he didn't have his baguette.
Yeah, that poor man, he is masturbating in an alley without his glass of wine.
I must assist him. And I go, omelette du fromage. And he's like, he does not need my help. And he goes and flies away. The French can fly, you know.
He drives off in one of his weird little police cars that goes, and the weird sirens they have over there.
Yeah.
Except when it goes over ramp. And for some inexplicable reason, it still goes.
Ah, yes, the Duke boys. Such rapscallions.
They are genius. Weird French tangent.
I don't even know what the fuck we're doing anymore.
No, you were talking about meditation.
Yeah, so I had actually heard of Ram Dass. I didn't even realize it before I heard the name Ram Dass, because I have a background in like the social sciences and all that stuff. My original degree was sociology, and I practically minored in psych. And there was a guy that I had heard of named Richard Alpert. And a character on Lost actually got named after him, because all the characters on Lost were named after, like, scientists and spiritual leaders and shit.
Huh. Like John Locke.
Exactly.
And Fat Albert. That was the fat guy's name, right?
Sure.
His name was Hurley. I'm being mean.
Hurley.
So anyway, there was a spiritual man in your book that you were studying.
Yeah, so Richard Alpert was a behavioral scientist in the 50s and 60s who worked for a bunch of different universities, principally Harvard. He worked with another guy you may have heard of before named Timothy Leary.
Now, that name does sound familiar.
Timothy Leary is credited for basically starting the psychedelics movement in the 60s and all of the associated...
I was thinking of Dennis Leary.
Yeah,
Sorry.
You're thinking of Dennis Leary, who did the "I'm an Asshole" song that was popular in middle school.
Oh yeah, it was the mid 2000s. That's when that kind of thing was big.
Yep.
Anyway, so the founder of the psychedelics movement,
So Timothy Leary was a guy who he was a researcher who worked with Richard Alpert, later known as Ram Dass, at at Harvard and a few other universities. And they conducted a shit ton of experiments giving psychedelics to people and recording their responses and trying them themselves. And they
posting it on Twitter.
Yes, that they certainly had in
70s Twitter.
In 1968.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they did went on to be like the heart of all the hippie psychedelic movement. All of the stuff. Oh, the famous phrase. What is it?
Open your mind.
No, it's like turn on, tune in, drop out.
Whoa.
That whole thing was Timothy Leary, and he and Richard Alpert did a whole bunch of experiments on people with psychedelics, and then Richard Alpert found that for a long time he was like a really successful professor of behavioral sciences. He was a therapist. He was all this shit. And he felt like it wasn't really helping anybody, that he was just repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. He went home and felt no closer to the answer to like how to make himself feel better than like he's like, how I'm telling all these people how the brain works, how the mind works, how we think it works, and how to make them feel better, but I'm not even making myself feel better. It feels like I'm just studying something to study it. He was dealing with like the same feelings of nihilism and like all of this is bullshit that I have all the time.
Yeah.
So he tried psychedelics with Timothy Leary, and he's like, holy shit, I see God on LSD. This is fucking incredible. And he wanted to do it again and again and again, but it always, like, the LSD wears off and you're back to square one.
Yeah.
And he's like, is there any way to sort of unlock these higher stages of consciousness and have permanent access to them? Or a deeper understanding about mastering human consciousness to the extent that you don't, you can just pretty much stay in that state of mind, or one of several states of mind similar to that, without the need for drugs. So he went to India and fucked around India a whole bunch and had some adventures over there. They're like the Beatles before they went nuts in India. Which the Beatles did because of Ram Dass. But long story short, he met a guru, an actual guru. The word guru is overused a lot. It actually has a specific meaning in terms of like...
He met Super Comic Guru.
Yeah, pretty much. He hung out in his frickin' cloud fort. His really high, and he had to climb up that long pole into the clouds and get up to Kami's house.
Chilled with Mr. Popo for a while.
Chilled with Mr. Popo, and he became a guru. Pretty much, he learned to do that shit himself. Mm-hmm. And he came back to America, and he wrote a book called Be Here Now, and that book pretty much popularized like meditation and yoga and Eastern spirituality and practices relating to that for the baby boomer generation, and are pretty much why we know what that stuff is now. Okay. So the yoga and wine moms of today can trace their roots directly all the way back to Ram Dass.
And Al Pacino.
Yes. Ram Dass being, of course, the
Rupert Alpert.
Yeah, it was Richard Alpert.
Richard Alpert. God.
His guru renamed him Ram Dass.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was like once he adopted like a new spiritual personality, pretty much, and was given a new name. It means servant of God.
Yusuf Islam'd himself.
It also means ram to ass.
It means coke to asses. So I've been listening to some of his lectures, and he has a bunch of lectures on YouTube that you can find, and they're accessible, and it's really fucking fascinating stuff to hear him. Like, they're from like 1978 and stuff, so the quality isn't super great. But they're great to listen to if you want to just like... I think about this type of stuff all the time, just as far as like the nature of consciousness, the nature of the self, the nature of the soul, how the brain works, how I can master my own fucking terrible brain and stop it from attacking me all the time, like it really likes to do. I had a really bad experience with alcohol, and I had a really bad experience with prescription medications that I shouldn't have been prescribed, that were nasty shit, like anti-anxiety. I was for an abridged history of the period of my life referred to as B-Rye's hilarious problem. When I was 22 years old and graduated from college, I had no idea what the fuck I was going to do with my life. I still don't really, but I'm better about it now. Yeah. I think that is a very normal time in a young person's life for them to be feeling anxiety. I sought help for that anxiety, and they threw meds at me. For the same reason we have the opioid epidemic. I think, physicians and nurse practitioners and basically all aspects of the medical field, especially back then in the early 2000s, early 2010s, I should say, were incentivized by pharmaceutical companies to overprescribe medication, which is why the opiate epidemic happened, and it's why people get drugs thrown at them for mental problems instead of actual therapy and things that will help them learn tools to identify what they're experiencing and attack it head on with, without chemicals. But
I went to the fucking doctor. I had my toe hurt, and he fucking shot me with a pellet gun full of Vicodin.
Well, that's different. That's
sport. That's not medicine.
Yeah. He released you on his island and hunted you down.
Now to hunt the 78th most dangerous game.
To hunt you with his manservant Mandalay.
I've come for him again.
I don't remember
the wild fat guy.
Oh, Miles! You can hear him calling in the wind.
And she just... You do the same gross burp I keep using.
No!
There it is.
No!
I
need to Ram Dass meditate to get rid of that.
He finds a clearing of like mashed down brush and stuff, and he like touches two indentations in the mud, and he's like, a CPAP machine was hooked up here.
Oh! Oh my god. Okay.
So, getting back on topic.
So you had your hilarious problem.
I had my hilarious problem. It fucked me up and almost killed me.
Yeah.
So now I don't want to do prescription anti-anxiety or depression meds again because they almost killed me, along with alcohol.
Yeah.
And I quit drinking entirely during the pandemic. I quit drinking, which is amazing.
You're the only person that did that.
I think in humanity.
Yeah.
Like, not just in our little group of friends or whatever. No, we're talking like the human race.
I reduced my alcohol consumption to 0 as of last Thanksgiving. So, but I do get high all the time on marijuana.
On marijuana.
Which actually, I think helps me a lot. That being said, I don't want to talk about weed a whole bunch, but because the subject at hand is Ram Dass. Basically, I'm looking for ways to
smoke weed while listening to Ram Dass.
That as well. That is a very important part of this. And I won't deny that. But it's great being stoned and hearing him talk about stuff and going, heavy, man.
Oh, God.
But, which is exactly why he was popular when he came back in the 60s and 70s.
Of course it was.
But basically, I'm looking for ways to sort of master my own consciousness without horrible medications. And I don't really believe in magic or anything like that. Obviously, I'm an atheist. I'm a modern liberal person who believes in science. I believe that a lot of the stuff is placebo effect. But I don't think that... I think there's a scientific basis for the states of consciousness that he's describing reaching. And I think that, you can make your brain do that in various ways. And I don't think that makes it supernatural. But I think it's cool, and I want to learn to do it so that I'm less miserable, possibly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fuck, what was I going to talk about? I don't remember anymore. I kind of dead-ended on that.
What? Okay, so wait, run us through some shit that he, like, okay, B-Rye, you're on your couch, you're dressed in...
my comfy pants.
You're dressed in your finest Otto from The Simpsons chic. You're sitting on your couch. You got your big old Blunterino rolled up, and just kidding, you have like a vaporizer now.
I do.
You got your Vaporino machine, which in my mind looks like a CPAP machine, but with a giant blunt instead of the machine unit that you push buttons on. You got one of those. You're hooked up. You got your Doritos. You got your Fritos. You got your onion rings.
I don't buy those because there's your
onion rings.
I get Utz chips because there's a Frito-Lay strike. And you shouldn't cross picket lines.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because a person died on the production line and they moved the body until people get back to work.
Yeah, they moved it into the chip processor, so you've all been cannibals.
A little bit of fill.
What's the reason for the Nabisco strike going on? Is that the same thing?
Is it the same
something
thing
similar.
with the water?
Something similar. I wish they had picked a month other than now to do it because I want my Halloween Oreos. God damn it. Yeah, I saw that there was a strike. I didn't hear any details, though.
Yeah, same. Like, I've heard multiple times that there's a strike, but I don't actually know why.
Yeah. Right, B-Right. You got your charcuterie board filled with healthy snacks, and you're ready to go. You got your big, gigantic headphones that your parents would used to plug into the record player with, like, the curly cue.
Oh, those are the best fucking headphones.
Curly cord.
What did just all of our parents have those?
Yeah.
They're a ubiquitous thing.
Yeah.
And the giant plug-in.
Yeah, it's a huge fucking thing.
It's basically a dildo.
Yeah.
Ooh. Anything is if you're brave enough.
So you're plugged in. You got your Ram Dass best hits on. Now you got your Now That's What I Call Ram Dass CD in the player. You're all hooked up. Run me through what's a thing that's been effective for you.
I'm taking baby steps into this right now.
Okay.
So I can't really.
You're just hopping in.
It's too early to tell yet.
Okay, so what's been compelling so far then? How about that?
It's a bit like, draw the rest of the fucking owl at this point because he writes very well and he speaks very well and he describes feelings that are unpleasant that I definitely have experienced as far as like the anxiety. He was a very neurotic person, and I'm fairly neurotic, and he describes how he sort of transcended a lot of that through some of these practices. And I'm like, I want to get there. How do I get there? Some of the stuff. I've actually been some of the higher concept stuff. I've been trying to find other sources for, perhaps more contemporary sources that use. We've had like 40 or 50 years to build on the stuff he brought back.
Yeah.
So there's people who can like start you off easier in language that's a little bit more I guess, accessible to as far as like baby step kind of instructional stuff. I did buy his book. He has a book called Be Here Now that he wrote.
Yeah, you discussed that earlier.
Yeah, I bought the book, and I'm actually currently reading the book. I started the book last night.
Oh, that's good. Oh, wow. So this is very recent.
Very, very recent. So there is
okay,
actually...
I thought this was something that like you were like you've been into.
I've been into meditation for a while now. For about the last month or so, I've been ramping up the frequency of my doing meditations. I do these mindful meditations. I go into Pumpkin's room, which is one of our it's just me and Lissa in the house, so we have 2 unused bedrooms. We have the guest bedroom, and we have this other room that we've been we refer to it as Pumpkin's room because we shut him up in there when the movers were working, and we also just keep a lot of his bulky crap and cat trees and stuff in there too.
Yeah.
So I've been using that as my meditation studio, and I'll just go in there for about a half an hour at night sometimes with my phone or iPad and some earbuds, and I look for like a couple different, there's a lot of good, there's even apps like Headspace and stuff that do that now. I'm not sure how cool or lame they are because you have to pay for some of them, and I don't want to I don't want to do a sponsored video for something that might be shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can find plenty of free mindful meditations and stuff on YouTube, which is my primary source for all this. And I just sort of look up. I've tried a couple different mindful meditations from a couple different channels that I'm starting to recognize the names of from, I'll look for a video and I'm like, oh, I've used their stuff before. Let me see if they have a video on this. And so that's sort of how I'm doing it. And they teach you how to sort of bring your attention to the present moment, let go of like the day, let go of like while you're doing this, you don't have to do anything. And it's like amazing how good it feels to be told that. Like, you don't have to do anything right now. There's nothing you have to be thinking about. There's nothing you have to be preparing for. Just fucking put it down, man. Just breathe for a little bit. Sit here.
That rings really true.
Yeah.
With I've kind of had something like that too, where like I'll often just get away from my station for a little bit, my little workstation where I do everything. Mm-hmm. I'll put the phone down and I'll just like walk into a random part of the house. Maybe it's out on the porch. Maybe it's just like in the kitchen, and I'll just stare into nothing and just no thoughts, head empty. And that feels pretty good.
You were meditating and didn't even realize it.
Oh my God.
Are you the guru that I've been seeking this entire time?
Yes, my child. Sit down and let me tell you all about Be Stupid.
Are you gonna make are you gonna guru change my name to Coked Asses?
Yes.
I'm not B-Rye anymore.
Yes, you are not B-Rye. You are no longer B-Rye. You are Coked Assholes.
From now on, you will be known as Sock D's.
No.
Oh yes. Oh well, I mean, we could also call you Ligma Bofa. But that's just a Star Wars character. You won't get away with this, Ligma Bofa. Mandalorian.
That's about the size of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the goal of the mindfulness meditation is just sort of bringing your attention back to the present moment, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past, not thinking about your day. Just fucking sit down, take some deep breaths, focus on this present moment of time, which is a weird thing to do. I mean, we're always in the present, but you never think about that fact until you actually draw your attention to it and keep it on it. And it's doing that I think is the goal for getting started with meditation. And at least it's what seems to be working for me. I cannot differentiate between doing these things. It might also just be the fact that I'm exhausted all the time and it takes very little to get me to like fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Because doing these things always makes me like tired, and I almost prefer to do them as like a wind down before bed kind of a thing, because then I can immediately go permanently relax. Permanently.
Oh God.
But you can theoretically do this anytime during your day. Like, you could take 10 minutes, and if you're working from home or whatever, and just do this or whatever, and it would make you feel a little bit better if it helps different people at different times of their day. I just prefer to do it at night because then I know that I truly don't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And there's nothing waiting for me that I am trying to procrastinate on once I'm done with the meditation. But that's just the sort of, I guess, more on my spiritual journey as we'll follow this story in progress. In future episodes, we'll check in with my obnoxious New Age horseshit and see how
As long
I'm
as you
doing.
don't bring jade crystals to shove up our asses, I think we'll be fine.
No, we were gonna get some.
Oh, you said don't bring those?
Yes.
He 3D printed those all day.
Now I feel a little silly, if I'm being honest.
I wondered why you clacked like a bunch of pool balls when you walked into the
Oh
room.
no!
That is slander, and I will have no more of this. Good day.
Now even you know I am a menace. I hand you the secrets to save the entire human race and the entire universe.